Hello and welcome to Fireside Chat number 7. We're going to be looking at bargaining and negotiations explained. I'm Dr. KD Ewulu. I'll be working with you today going forwards. Let us begin. I want to welcome us officially to our 7th chat in the Fireside Chat series, okay? It's entitled Bargaining and Negotiations Explained. I'm Dr. KD Ewulu, executive coach and author of the leadership book, Big Dreams, Making It Happen for Organizations and Teams. Thanks for joining me for this 15-minute chat. And if you're not able to join us live, thanks for watching the replay of the presentation. Today, we'll go into a little bit more detail concerning bargaining. We'll delve into the steps to successful negotiations, the concepts of BATNA and ZOPA, concessioning, the poker face, and the flinch, time permitting. As an ending to Fireside Chat number 6, I shared a few notable quotes. I'm going to be highlighting on 2 of those quotes as we start today's Fireside Chat number 7. The first quote is that the whole point of negotiating is compromise. This means that not only do you need to look out for yourself, but you must also be willing to budge in order to satisfy both parties. According to Harvey Robbins, during the negotiation process, we should place a higher priority on discovering what a win looks like for the other person. In essence, the highest negotiation levels occur when both parties win. So, let's begin with the steps to successful negotiations. The negotiation process usually begins with positive expectations, then moves on to the stage of building rapport, then on to the stage of probing and listening, and then to the proposing stages and pricing stage before you end up with the actual stage of reaching agreement. As a business owner, mid-level manager, C-suite member, you're going to negotiate for yourself or on behalf of your company at some time or the other. So, to ensure that both negotiating parties walk away with expected outcomes, there are a few techniques to learn. The top 4 being BATNA, ZOPA, concessioning, and facial expressions. Let's begin with BATNA. BATNA is an acronym for Best Alternative to a Negotiated Agreement. It requires transparent honesty with our opponents with regard to our expectations. For instance, as a business owner who is negotiating fees with a potential client, you should have several levels of expectations. Prepare to add on non-financial perks to the deal and probably come down on your final ideal price so long as a longer tenured contract, a service agreement, or a full one-time payment is made. Now, both negotiating parties should stipulate their minimum acceptable conditions before negotiations begin, as this increases the chances of both of them walking out from the negotiation table as victors. It has to be a win-win. Now, regardless of your position within an organization, if you are negotiating on behalf of your firm, then mutual transparency is key for mutually beneficial negotiation outcomes. In the diagram above, company number 1 should communicate to company number 2 before or at the end of the negotiation session that they expect to receive items 1A, 1B, and 1C. And at the end of the process, while company 2 should do likewise for activity for items 2B, 2C, and 2D. When both parties achieve their expectations from the session through this BATNA tool, then the negotiation can be considered a success. Having said that, let's have a brief look at the concept term ZOPA. This is an acronym for Zone of Possible Agreement. This tool typically applies during pricing or material quantity negotiations. Again, both parties transparently specify what range of pricing would work for them, with the seller preferring higher price ranges and the buyer preferring lower price ranges. Both price ranges are matched to arrive at a zone where the sellers and buyers' prices are common. This is the zone of possible agreement, ZOPA. And bargaining along this common zone then commences until a mutually agreed to price is arrived at. Again, trust and mutual transparency is required to make this tool effective. In the diagram above, the red checked zone becomes a ZOPA, and the bargaining within those confines of this acceptable range of prices commences. It's important to note here that the transparency of this tool does not necessarily mean that the seller will eventually sell at the maximum price within the zone, nor does it mean that the buyer will eventually purchase at the lowest price within the zone. Having said that, during that bargaining, the bargaining that ensues after the ZOPA is identified, more information sharing in the areas of costs of production, taxes, profit margins, available budgets, and authority levels will be required to arrive at a mutually acceptable price. Negotiations require win-win outcomes to ensure longevity of the corporate relationship. A few more elements to consider as ZOPA negotiations get underway are the ideal price, the reservation price, and the range of settlement. The ideal price refers to the seller's most preferred sales price. This is usually higher so as to maximize profit for the seller. And the buyer's preferred purchase price, which is usually lower to maximize value for the buyer's organization. The reservation price refers to the lowest price the seller is prepared to sell at, usually a few percentage points above production price, and the highest price the buyer is prepared to buy at, usually based on their available budget, and usually pegged just below the available budget. The range of settlement ROS is determined by the two reservation positions of the buyer and the seller. The range of settlement normally falls well within the zone of possible agreement ZOPA. Again, I'm going to be sharing this on the screen for you so you can get a picture of what it looks like. It is recommended that final bargaining occurs within the range of the two reservation prices R, as depicted in the purple square there, okay? Otherwise, there's going to be dissatisfaction on the part of one of the negotiators. Now, let's look at the concepts of concessioning and marbles. A concession is something one negotiator gives up to allow the deal go through. Simply speaking, a sweetener. On the other hand, marbles are remnants from the bargaining pieces that can be shared out to negotiating parties after major agreements are reached via BATNA and or ZOPA. Ideally, the smaller the concessions you give, the more effective, as there could eventually be multiple concessions before the deal is finalized. It's like giving up very tiny slices of an apple instead of giving up full chunks at each juncture. In the case of marbles, they're often shared out in whatever percentages were agreed upon once broader agreements are reached utilizing BATNA and ZOPA. It's common practice for negotiators to sometimes let go of some marbles in order to smoothen the relationship. In other words, lose the argument and win the relationship. Finally, we look at the concepts of facial expressions, namely poker face and flinch. The poker face and flinch are body language tools that can be utilized during face-to-face and video conferencing negotiation sessions to agree or disagree with an opposing negotiator's offer. The poker face is a deadpan expression, while the flinch is a noticeable, sometimes exaggerated facial reaction. It can be useful when the opposing negotiator is overly aggressive, confrontational, and uses personal attacks. It should not be used when we already feel that the price is wrong. A lack of reaction when an offer is made, the poker face, is assumed as approval or acceptance of the offer on the table. So be careful there. The flinch can be strategic when reacting to price information, price increases, additional charges, and typically signifies disagreement with the offer on the table. The flinch should not be used when the opposing negotiator personally attacks us, and it is wise to not react, as this can negatively impact the progress of negotiations. This brief description of the bargaining and negotiation process is meant to fortify your resolve as a business owner a C-suite leader, or mid-level operative with limited negotiation powers to aim higher in your aspirations and not be deterred by the prospect of potential setbacks. Okay, folks, my time is up. We'll pick it up from here when you join me in 2 weeks' time on this same platform as we continue our review of my leadership book, Big Dreams, Making It Happen for Organizations and Teams. In our next broadcast on Monday, April 29th, 2024, titled Balancing Micromanagement and Macromanagement, we will define and describe both monitoring and controlling techniques and show you how to find and maintain true balance for effective oversight. It's going to be an interesting and eye-opening session, so come expectant. All right. Again, I'm going to ask you to please come prepared by grabbing, for broadcast number 8, by grabbing a copy of my book at the QR code on the screen or on the background to the left of the screen. They're going to take you to the links below. The first link there is a link to purchase the paperback of the book. And the second link is to purchase the ebook of the book. You can also use the QR code. On the bottom there to access any of those. As always, you can also go to calendly.com/KD leadership/30 minutes to book an appointment with me to discuss further on how to go forwards. Having said that, you can also connect with me on LinkedIn to receive notifications about these fireside chats. We have about 6 more of them scheduled every other Monday until sometime in June 2024. I want you to have a focused, successful, and satisfying 2 weeks. And I'm going to see you at our 8th broadcast on Monday, April 29th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. This is Dr. KD Ewulu. I'm rooting for you as always, even as you dream big, plan astutely and time effectively, and negotiate courageously with the big picture in mind. Cheers and take care. Bye for now.